Hello, beauties. Welcome back to the vlog. Thank you so much for all of the comments and notes we've received. I so love hearing your perspectives and getting your questions. It's really encouraging from my perspective to see that there are so many people having these same types of conversations. And I think that speaks really highly of the types of industries out there that are supporting people. So this week we are talking about career advice and sharing some of the stories from my career and people that I know. Today we're going to talk about two different paths that people can take. A path where you don't change and you go on the path forward that you're supposed to take, I guess. And then also people who have taken risk. But before I do that, I do want to give a shout out to both of our local chambers of commerce, both the Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce and Springfield Chamber of Commerce. I had the privilege of being on a panel today with some local businesses to talk about the different sectors we have in our county: manufacturing, technology, food and beverage, and timber. And it was really cool to see so many people engaged in a leadership conversation from both cities and around our county who are committed to our community, from all different backgrounds and ages and companies and industries. So that was really cool and a huge privilege. So big thanks to Brittany Quick-Warner and to Vonnie from the Springfield Chamber as well for including us. It was really cool to be there. So today we're going to talk about two paths forward, and I'm actually not going to use a business example here. What I'd like to do is share an example of music. My dad played the steel guitar most of his adult life and loved guitar, and we had musicians in our home many weekends and evenings, and people would jam in our house and stuff. It was really cool. And my mother played piano, violin, a number of other instruments. She sang opera before she became a music teacher in Santa Ana School District, where she was for 25 years. And so she played a number of instruments and also taught music. And music, I think, is a good analogy in this case. And as someone who also plays a number of instruments myself, and my husband, who's got a room full of guitars, our kids are musical, I do think that way. And technology and mathematics and music have a lot of commonality. So there was a musician that came to our home, and I was fairly young then. I think it was maybe 8 or 9, so it's like 3rd or 4th grade. And he came to our house, and my dad was playing the steel guitar, and his buddy was playing another guitar, and someone had brought something that was some sort of a drum. It wasn't a full set, and they were doing that. And this man was there, and he played concert piano and played piano beautifully. And we had a baby grand, and he sat down to the piano and he played it, and it was like attending a world-class concert. It was incredible. And he was so sad. And I remember he was so sad, and I kept trying to figure out what that was about. And so finally, because I had no tact then, and I continue to not have any now, to be honest, I said, "Why are you so sad? I can't believe you're so sad. You just played that beautifully." And he said, "Well, my parents wanted me to play piano because they felt like it was a good skill for me to have. But I didn't want to play piano. I always wanted to play guitar. And they didn't let me play guitar." And I said, "Well, you can take up guitar now." And he said, No, I think it's too late. It's too late for me." And my dad's friend said, "Well, come play my guitar. You can come." And I remember him fumbling on the strings and being awkward. And then he flushed and he was embarrassed. And he said, "No, it's just too late for me." Now, likewise, my grandmother learned to play the organ for God knows what reason. She bought a stand-up organ, put it in her house, and would play and sing off-key for hours, and she took that up when she was 70. Why? She said, "Well, I just got a wild hair, and I felt like I should." And she had huge enjoyment from it, and she had a great time with it. And no one directed her to do that. She did that for herself. And I think really that's the difference here. The person who plays something and goes after something with wild abandon, if you do it for yourself, it's different. There was a study that I saw a few years ago now that was talking about artists. And artists who did non-commissioned work, who did the art for themselves, when reviewed by art critics, supposedly did far better work than even when they were commissioned with an open slate where they could make anything. Why? Why? Because they got to create it. They were in charge of it. They did that path. And this is the thing that I think can apply to your business life too, is that you get to choose. The person who played piano chose not to try something new. He decided that piano was where he's going to stay. He lived with that, and he was miserable because he limited himself. Even though the people initially, his parents said, this is where you start, he chose that path ultimately, and he also chose not to change. And likewise, my grandmother, who played the organ for herself alone at home, singing off key while eating bowls of ice cream, real story happening right now, she did that because she could. And why not? And who cares? And she had a great time. And I think a lot of business is that way too. So what if you try a thing and it doesn't work? What do you have to lose? As my former mentor, who's now passed, said to me, you can't lose something you don't have. You can't lose something you don't have. So just begin. I'll see you tomorrow.